Have you ever started a job and got so far into it you just keep going and going and going without actually taking a break, figuring it out, and then coming back to it? Well, maybe you haven't, but I do all the time. So Cat D3G XL 2006, beautiful machine. The heating system did not work. I should start at that end, perhaps, because it gets confusing. The heating system did not work because the adjustment knob for the heating system just rotated and did nothing. So you start by taking the knob off. So heating knob rotates, does nothing. You take the heating knob off and you find behind it the assembly of stuff that is supposed to look like this. This is the new cable, where when you turn the knob, it turns like a worm gear, and that worm gear moves the cable in and out. All right, so you start by saying, my cable's no good. Take the end off. Yes, it was broken, and I actually managed to free it so that the cable does, in fact, now move. But rather than take this end off here and figure out a way to fabricate it, I decided to find the other end of the cable and remove it so that I could have the whole thing nice and new, where it wouldn't jam. I wouldn't have to modify anything. So I figured I have to change the fuel filter and oil filter anyway. So I will take the engine covers off, change the filters, and find the end of the heating cable. Well, guess what? I changed the filters, but the heating cable is not under there. So I decided, well, that's easy. I'll just trace it. I'll find out where it is. So I took the two covers off that fit on these sides so that I can look underneath and find where the cable goes. Well, guess what? You can't see where the cable goes. You wiggle it, you jam it, you curse a little, still can't see where it goes. So then you, of course, undo the inspection doors. You're having a good look around. You're trying to find the cable. You're wiggling it. You're bashing it. You're cursing a little more. And you still can't find where it goes. So then you decide, I'm going to make life easier for myself here. I'm going to take the floor mat out. I bet you there's an inspection cover underneath the floor mat. And I will be able to get easily and have great visibility as well as access. So you take the floor mat out, you take the cover off, and guess what? The cable goes nowhere near anywhere there. So then you decide, well, when I look underneath the seat, I see the edge of a plate, and I bet that plate covers a large inspection panel that allows you to see where it connects, and I bet you it connects inside the box with the fan, and I bet you that you can get to that connector inside that box. So you take the seat out, you take the plate off, you take the filter out, and guess what? It's not there. You can't see that either. So then you come around the other side of the machine and you think, well, wait a minute, I'm not thinking straight. I'm going to, of course, check the engine bay on this side of the machine, because maybe it snakes its way around and comes to the other side of the engine. Well, the answer is no, it doesn't. So then you take the cover plate off on this side so that you can look underneath and have a good look for it, and it's nowhere near in there either. So then you decide, wait a minute, since I can find this cable, know where this cable is inside the back of the control panel, I can wiggle it and jiggle it and find where it goes. So you find that there are two connectors that bolt it to the frame. There's one there, there's one down there. Both are completely inaccessible. The cable is rock solid, you can't wiggle it. So you have to take the batteries out. And taking the batteries out on this, yeah, it's not easy. So the voyage of discovery then continues, is that there's a cross member underneath here, and the cable disappears over the top of that cross member and comes out the other side. So it must go down to the other side of the heat exchanger that you can see in the fan box at the front. So you look inside the fan box, you can see the heat exchanger. Heat exchanger's right there. The connector for the water must be at one side of that or the other. And it's behind the front of the seat. So yes, there's an inspection panel at the back of the machine that you can drop off. And then you can look inside and you can see almost everything. But guess what? The one thing is that you cannot see. It is the other end of the heater cable. So, have you ever had one of these jobs where you need to just take a break and rethink it and stop taking things off? I am at that point, but I will not give up. I will continue, but perhaps not today. Today is Christmas Eve. It is 70 degrees. It is sunny, and I think I might need to take the quads out, go for a ride, or something like that. Give myself a break. Well, I'm glad I stopped because I found it when I asked my wife if she could wiggle the hose. It is right up underneath in the middle of the heat exchanger. Hose going into it one side, hose going into it the other side, and the cable joins it from the opposite direction. How you're supposed to get in there, I have no clue. And it's not worth the effort. Sometimes the juice is not worth the squeeze. Because my cable is not seized, and I think I can figure out a way of replacing the end of the cable, the mechanism at the end, with a new one. So I'm going to focus on doing that and putting some pieces back on the machine. Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. But how can you leave bare metal sitting under something that you know you'll never remove again? Well, that you hope you'll never remove again. But everything's cleaned up and paint's going on and then parts are going back in. And it's looking like a whole machine, but the problem I started with is still not fixed. Almost 2 hours later, one side is all back together. And who can not resist cleaning up and painting stuff? So the seat will go in now, then I'll focus over on the other side. And none of this has been videoed because it has nothing to do with the heating cable. I did all this trying to find the heating cable. But it's back together and it looks beautiful. Finally, I am back to the start of where I could have been 2 days ago. Everything's back together, it's all cleaned, it's all painted, it all works. Found a couple of things I did not like and fixed them along the way. But I've managed to free the cable. So this cable operates the valve. So rather than replace the cable, I'm going to try and replace the end of the cable. So the new end looks like that. And as you turn the knob at the end, it turns a worm that pushes in on the cable. So all I have to do is figure out how to get this end off and mount the new end to the old cable. The trouble is it's got a pin that's been splayed over after it's pushed in. So I don't know if I can straighten that up enough to get it out, so I've got to try a few different things and then see what I come up with. Well, it's on. So here was the trick. The trick was, if you take the end cap off, and it is super glued on, so you have to progressively squeeze around the outside with the needle nose pliers until it breaks the super glue. You can then pull that end off, and with the end off, the screw that's in the center slides out of the end and out of the bracket that retains this metal clip. With that slid out, you can then squeeze this clip together and push it through. So it's an ingenious design. I've yet to figure out if my heating system is now functional, because it does seem a little stiff. But that is how it comes off. So just to recap, take that end off, which looks like this. Take the screw, the brass screw thread out, squeeze that clip together and push it through, and then pop it off the end of this wire. And then of course the assembly is reverse of that. So it all works. Wasn't too hard. Wish I'd started this 3 days ago. But I gotta go to the house and get some super glue, pop it on, give it a couple of days to set, and fire the machine up, get it warm, and see if the heat works. Well, just a dab of super glue where the plastic sleeve joins the metal. And the rubber boot is on, and it functions, so it's going back in. The cable's all in. I've taken the rubber sleeve off just to lube up this this worm screw a little, but I actually can't do it one-handed. Yes, I can. There you go. If I just give it a little bit of help from the other finger. So screw turns, cable goes in and out, which is a great thing. I've been putting a little bit of penetrating oil on the end of the cable, letting it soak in, but I'm happy with that. Also, the temperature gauge is working perfectly, so that was the other job that I was doing. I could really have done without all of the extra unnecessary work, but that's just me being me and being a little silly. So I'll put this back together and clean up, and that's it for the job. Well, I could not be happier with this. I really couldn't. I even put a new bulb in the light, so the light works. So nice easy twist, all the way off, all the way on. It's got a heck of a fan. I haven't quite figured out why it needs such an incredibly powerful fan here. Blowing in my face so hard that I need to turn it down. Very pleasant. I have a vibration somewhere. Gotta figure that out, but it's all working, everything's done. Job's a good one.